Well, good morning, YTPC. This is Dave coming to you from the paddock here in southern Maryland. It's about 11:45 on Sunday morning. This will be a little more fun video. We're going to talk about some pipes. And then some of you asked me how I met my wife, because if I'm from Seattle and she's from Maryland, if you look at a map of the U.S., that's a big gap. So we'll talk about, you'll hear the origin story of Anne-Marie and I. All right, guys, so what am I smoking? So this is a Missouri Meerschaum. It's from their hardwood edition. This is the cherry. There's also a hickory, and maybe I'll do that tomorrow. But here's the cherry hardwood Missouri Meerschaum. And what's in it is some Captain Black Royal. Captain Black Royal is their attempt at an aromatic. So I'm probably straying off the Codger here, but I'm gonna stay on. I'm still on my Codger blend tour. It's Captain Black, so I'm gonna say it's still Codger, but I get that many of you will disagree. Thank you, Greg, as always. I'm almost done with this bowl. So as you know, the Maryland Meerschaum is taking a turn for the worse with the hole. I don't think I'm going to repair it. I think it's going to live as a museum piece. And so I've talked about this in the past. Every time something goes a little wrong in my life, I use it. I try to use it as a chance to upgrade. So I've got some upgrades to the pipe collection based on trying to find a replacement for the Maryland Meerschaum, and there probably won't be a single replacement. I think I learned my lesson. I probably shouldn't smoke the same pipe every day for a year straight. Plus, you guys have all reacted quite well to seeing a variety of pipes here, so we'll head down that road. So let me show you the replacement contingent for the Maryland Meerschaum as it stands currently today. All right, guys, I've got the pipes I brought in as possible solutions for losing the Maryland Meerschaum. I'm going to turn you around and show them to you, and then we'll hold them up one-on-one and get through them. All right, guys, we brought 5 in to the paddock. Let's go through them real quick. So I bought a Lion's Head Meerschaum. It came with dual stem. It has a short stem and a church organ. And then this is called a Royal, which I don't really know what it is too well yet. And it came with a short stem, and I've added a church warden stem to it. And then for my Wyoming commemoration, I guess, is a buffalo head. This thing's monster big. Came with a standard stem, but I bought a church warden for it as well. You can see the Maryland Meerschaum on its pedestal, a pedestal of honor with Uncle Willie's pipe stand. Thought that was a nice way to keep it part of the paddock, and a great way to use Uncle Willie's pipe stand. And then I bought 2 other pipes from the Pipe Nook. Both are Peterson Draculas. So those are the 5 that have come in the last few days. So guys, I'm not much for just doing pipe reviews. They're just not my thing. I'm not that knowledgeable about it, but I'll take you through each of the 5 real quick. So this is a Peterson Model 87. It's sandblasted, and it's part of their Dracula. I really like the Dracula look, so that's what I went with. It actually is stamped Dracula, if I could get it to show it to you. But that's it's nice. It's light, but I just love the combination, that black sandblasted with that red stem, the Dracula. I love it. Been looking at those for months. The other one is the same thing, except it is a Peterson 80S Same thing, black, sandblasted with the Dracula stem. It's beautiful. I just love that combination there. I can show you the Dracula stamp a little bit better on this one. I got both of these. I bought them both from the Pipe Nook. Took really good care of me. Got here great. I have no complaints. I love that guy. All right, the first of the three Meerschaums is the Lion's Head Meerschaum. Totally white Meerschaum, no coloring whatsoever. And I put the church warden pipe stem on it. It came with this one. It's actually a dual stem, so it came with both of these. I don't really like the black on the Meerschaum. I like the traditional orange marmalade or whatever they call it. So that's why I have this one on there. Plus, I think I'm going to start getting more comfortable smoking the long stems. I enjoy it, the cool smoke better. The second one is what they call a Royal Meerschaum. This is actually slightly colored. In fact, without the comparison, you probably won't be able to tell. So there's a full-on white, and here's a slightly colored. But I like the intricacy of the carvings. This is a master carved pipe from the Meerschaum market. These are significantly more money than the less ornate ones. And the last pipe for the review is kind of this monster buffalo head. I probably won't smoke this out in public much. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, look, it takes my whole hand. It's unclenchable, man. It's so heavy. But I just like the craftsmanship, and then I just love that it's the symbol of Wyoming. So I went with that. And it's got the traditional bit on it, and I will probably substitute out, take this off, and put the church warden on. All right, guys, those are the 5 pipes that have come in as I search for the replacement set for the Maryland Meerschaum. Now I can hear you yelling at the camera. Dave, didn't you just in yesterday's video tell us not to go buy that 30th pipe? I did. Just remember what it was in context with, right? If you got a bunch of debt to pay off, if you don't have money out there soldiering for you, don't spend money on this shit. Get rid of your debt. Well, I don't know anybody a dollar anywhere on the planet. All my assets are fully purchased, and I have lots of dollar soldiers out there fighting for me. So I buy some pipes. So I understand it can be a little bit ironic. It can seem do what I say and not what I do kind of thing. I just wanted to address that head on. So let's address the Missouri Meerschaum for a minute. It's a good pipe. It heats up pretty easily. And with an aromatic, with a Captain Black aromatic in there, the aromatic's burning hot and the Meerschaum burns a little hot. I mean, the cherry burns a little hot. So it's a little bit hotter pipe. These bits are for shit. These janky, plasticky feeling things. I understand why almost everybody goes out and immediately upgrades this to a, what is it called? An everlasting, or I have to look it up. I've done it once. Here. I've done it once on this pipe. I'm going to do it again. So on both of these, my cherries and my, what is the other one? Maples. Can't think of it right now. I'm going to go out and replace these janky, plasticky bits with these. And I'll show them to you, and you know the trademark, trade brand better than I do, but I'll make sure that I make it what I buy and where I bought it from. But yeah, I won't be able to smoke these until I get these off of here. Okay, guys. A couple of you have asked how did I meet Anne Marie, so let's go over the origin story of Anne Marie and I. So it's story time. There'll be no theme. There's no moral. No preaching us. Nothing to be taught. Just turn off the heater, it blows in my face. Just a conversation, a story. So the shorts version is, I grew up in Seattle and was working for DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation, out of their Bellevue, Washington office. And I was I was a senior software engineer was my title. But what I actually was their troubled account manager for the Western area. It was the Western 11 states. And they sent me from account to account. And these accounts were fairly high-level companies that had begun to hate DEC because they were having such performance problems with the digital hardware. Back then, we were talking mainframe. So we were talking 1987 and then 1988. This is back when 10 megabyte disk drive looked like a washing machine. So I'd been sent all over the Western United States fixing. I never lost an account, by the way. We saved every account. That's another good story for another time. But the base commander at Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage, Alaska called down and said, "Hey, DEC, box this shit up and get it out of here. You suck." Which was my mating call. That's when my phone rings. And so they sent me north. I spent 4 months in Anchorage. And just the wrong 4 months. November, December, January, and February in Anchorage, Alaska. Don't do that. In fact, we set the American low temp non-wind aided low temp in the United States that year. We hit a 76 below zero without wind. That's a different kind of cold. So anyway, I fly up there, and I'm a contractor. I mean, I'm the lowest form of life on an Air Force base. You have your pilots, you have your Air Force, you have your civilians, and you have your contractors. And then you have your contractors who work for contract companies that you want to get rid of. And that's where I fell in. Literally the lowest caste there is. I was the untouchable caste. Well, they put us all in one room in like the second sub-basement of the admin building. And so all the contractors are down there. There are probably 50 or more of us IT contractors from a bunch of different companies. And we go downstairs and we go in this big room. They say, we're going to introduce you around and kind of this big work pit of cubicles and all that. And I immediately went, "Who's that?" And they were like, "We'll get to her later." And so they're introducing me around, but I'm not paying attention. I'm looking at this 5'4", totally cheerleader hot blonde right over there. And we got around her and finally said, "Yeah, I'm Anne-Marie. Nice to meet you, you know, blah, blah, blah." And off we went. And I was like, holy crap, I can't believe someone who looks like that works up here in Anchorage, Alaska. So that is how I actually physically see her for the first time. I don't know if I call it love at first time, but it was something at first time. This chick was hot. Hot as balls. Well, it's a fairly small group of people, and we started to get to know each other a few days. and the guys, we'd all go out at night. We'd all go out after work. And one of the favorite places to go at the time was the Bush Company strip club. So we'd go there as a group. We'd all hang out. It was pretty fun. I mean, my God, I was 24. I was born in 64. Yeah, so I was 24 years old. Making lots of money, unencumbered, didn't own anything, wasn't dating anybody. So we'd go out at night. So we became friends and we started hanging out. And I realized very quickly that Elmerdorf Air Force Base had 2 squadrons of F-15s on them. And we were a support base for the forward operating bases. Because back then, I gotta take you back to 1988. In 1988, Russia was still part of the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union would fly Bear bombers into our airspace, not alongside of it, come straight at Anchorage to see if we'd light up our SAM sites on our radar so they could pinpoint where they all were. So the game was to keep everything dark, even though they were flying in, and just intercept them. We'd fly, we'd scramble 2 F-15s, and they'd just go up and intercept them and turn them around. Now, we were doing the exact same thing, by the way. We were flying B-52s over the Bering Strait, hoping they'd light their shit up so we could mark where it was. So it got to the point where we knew every Bear bomber. We knew the tail numbers. We know what crews were inside these by tail number, what crew members were there. And there's actually a wall, I think it's still there. They call it the intercept wall, where one F-15 would fly 5 feet over the Bear bomber, and the other F-15 would take pictures of it, and the bomber pilots would be smiling, and they knew they were on candid camera. And so there are all these pictures, and then they'd switch places, and the other F-15 would get their picture taken, and there's a wall of every Bear being intercepted by 2 F-15s. It was a pretty fun time. I mean, none of us really felt like we were in danger. I mean, it was just part of the game. Well, I realized there were 32 F-15 pilots on this base, and this donkey, who was an IT contractor for deck to boot, had no chance at this hottie. So I had to make a decision, and I made the decision. I'm going to treat her like I'd treat all the other guys. And so I was like, hey, how you doing? How's your day? And then sometimes she'd come out with us, and we would go to Chilkoot Charlie's. It's still there. We actually took our kids there the last time we went back to Anchorage. We'd go to Chilkoot Charlie's. There's still a sign that says you have to check your weapons, right? Because a lot of the guys come in out of the bush, and you'd have to check your firearms and your knives because they didn't want any of that going on inside the bar. And we would go out. And we were, 7-10 days into my tour. And we're all sitting there having a good time, drinking. And Anne-Marie was standing next to me. And she's kind of dancing, The band's nice. It's great, good music. And no one's doing anything. So I turned to her and I said, hey, do you feel like dancing? And she's like, holy shit. I've been up here for over a year, and you're the first guy to ask me to dance. And I was like, hold on a second. And the pilots are right behind us, and the rest of my guys that I work with are standing around. We're all standing around in a big group, and I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, guys, you are the stupidest people on the planet. And went out and danced with Anne-Marie, and we had a great time. And then after that, every guy was asking her to dance, but it was too late. They had lost the race. And after about 2 weeks, Anne-Marie and I started going out. We went out for dinner. I still remember, we went to this little Italian place, Villanova. We had this great conversation. I'll tell you about the conversation in a minute, but I got a better story to tell you first. So kind of during all this, before Anne-Marie and I actually started dating, we would go out to the Bush Company, and one evening, one of them kind of latched on, Trixie or whatever, I don't remember her name anymore. We were talking, and I didn't think anything of it. Close the bar down. We all go home. The next day at work, the phone lines all came into a central dispatch, and then they had a PA system. And so when you gave out phone numbers, you just gave out the main number, and then they would page you. Well, late morning, the next morning, like 11 o'clock or something, over the PA, Dave, Trixie's on line 2 for you. Dave, Trixie, line 2. I mean, everybody knew who Trixie was, including Anne Marie. And she just turned and just stared at me. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what to say. I had to go pick up that phone and have that conversation with Trixie in the middle of this big work pit with absolutely everybody there staring at me. It was dead silent. And so that's a hell of a first impression, correct? So after this event, Anne-Marie still wants to go out for dinner. So I figure I got lucky a second time. So we go out and we had this really nice, quiet Italian dinner at Villanova. It's not there anymore. We actually looked for it when we went back. And I said, hey, I'm not up here forever. And so I'm going to be done in a couple of months. And I don't want any misrepresentations do you just want to date and have fun for a couple of months and then we're going to say goodbye? And she actually said, no, I'm tired of being up here. I'm tired of being alone. I think we should try to make this work. Wow, date one, first night. Here we are. We've been married since 1990, so 34. We're coming up on 34 years in May. 2 kids. I mean, crazy. But I remember that night like it was yesterday. So then during dinner, she made it very clear to me that, hey, she goes, hey, one other thing I want to get clear here is I have a job, not a career. I want to be a mom someday. That is my dream. And if that doesn't work for you, kind of GTFO. And I didn't want kids at the time, but I wasn't about to GTFO this early. So I said, I'm kind of okay with that. I hadn't really put a whole lot of thought into it. And so we trundled off and began dating. And we had 4 months together, 3.5 months together. It was a great 3.5 months. And uh, we had to do something for New Year's Eve. So I'd been up there about a month. We'd been dating about 2 weeks. We're now into kind of the beginning of December. And her plan was to fly home and spend at least a week at home. So flying from Anchorage to DC or Baltimore is a big flight. But she says, hey, I don't want to spend the whole 2 weeks there. What do you want? Do you want to do something on New Year's Eve? I said, yeah, what do you want to do? And we kind of said, hey, maybe we should go to Hawaii. The arrogance of this conversation. I mean, I've known her for a month. We've been dating for 2 weeks. And we're talking about going to Hawaii like 3-4 weeks from now. But we did it. We bought a trip to Hawaii. She flew back from her Christmas in Maryland, and I flew back from my Christmas in Everett, Washington. We met up in Anchorage and went to Honolulu for like 9 days. We had a great 9 days, but the greatest temperature difference I've ever had on an aircraft came on the way back. We left Honolulu, and of course we did what every 24-year-old does. You work till the night before. You got to go to work at 8 in the morning, right? So we took the red eye out of Honolulu. We left Honolulu, I don't know, 11, 12 o'clock. It was 85 degrees. We landed in Anchorage 6 hours later. It was minus 40. And had to get out and pump gas to get, to fill up the rental car to get it back to base because we had to go to work at 7:30. And so, I don't know, just dumb, stupid kid stuff, right? Took a red eye to get in the morning that we had to go to work. Left the car at the airport empty on gas. Had to pump gas in my shorts and down coat in minus 40. I went up to pay the guy at the gas for the gas, and he just backed up and said, just leave the money on the counter. He didn't want to get anywhere near me. I looked like a complete lunatic. Big down parka, shorts, trying to buy gas at minus 40 degrees. Anyway, got home, showered, dressed, got to work on time, pulled it off. Don't recommend it. So we dated through March, and then I wrapped it up. We'd solved it. We'd saved the account. I was ready to move out, leave the account team there, and I was ready to go on to the next emergency. And she said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm coming with you. I'm out of here." So she basically quit her job and moved down to Seattle with me. We got engaged. We got married, and we lived in Seattle for 3 years. So that is how a guy who's from Everett, Washington meets a girl from basically southern Maryland in Anchorage, Alaska, pulls off a relationship, gets married. We lived 3 years. Obviously, she needed to come home. She hated Seattle. So my wife doesn't swear much, but she moved down with me in pretty much late March. And so in Seattle, I mean, it rains a lot, right? And March, April, May, but that's the worst. It rained every day. And like the 6th week she lived down there with me, she raised up the blinds on Saturday morning. It was raining again for like the 45th day in a row. I mean, literally 45 days of rain. She's like, "God damn it, no wonder it's so fucking green around here." Anyway, after 3 years, quit the jobs, packed everything up, and moved to Maryland. The rest is history, and now I'm in a paddock in southern Maryland. So guys, that's it. That's the story. I'm going to end it, not put anything serious in this video. Hope you're having a great Sunday.